My mom called me saying that I couldn't get married to my girlfriend because my mom is dating her father, but even if they go through, is it legal to marry my future stepsister if our parents get married before us? About 4 months ago, I proposed to my girlfriend. We had been dating for several years, and she accepted. We started planning for our wedding soon after, and sent out invitations a couple weeks ago. Me and my mother don't get along, and I went no contact with her a year ago, but today she called me and told me that we could not get married. I asked why, and she said she was dating my girlfriend's father, and that once they got married, we would have to separate since incest is illegal and she would be my stepsister. I asked my girlfriend when she got home, and she asked her father. It turns out that they have been dating for almost a year now, and although he has known me for several years, he didn't realize he was dating my mother because my mother has the last name of her most recent husband. She's been married 5 times. I was fathered by her second husband. He showed my mother the wedding invitation, and I guess she decided to break the news to me before him. My girlfriend and I love each other, and we both want to stay together, but we are worried there might be a shotgun wedding to prevent us from getting married. My potential stepfather has said he will have to collect his feelings to figure out how to approach this. He said he wasn't planning on proposing anytime soon, but we're worried my mother might pressure him into this to try and spite me now that she knows about his daughter and I. I hope that he breaks up with her, but if they are indeed a match, it is a horrible thought to want them to be separated. If our parents get married first, will we be unable to? Would there be any consequences if we were to have children without getting married if we are step-siblings? If we were to marry first, would it still be fine for our parents to marry later on? Should we just go to wherever they do marriage licenses and get married now, but still do the ceremony in a few months as originally planned? Or are we doomed to be forcibly separated regardless? Update. So, it's been a wild week. I would have posted this sooner, but I was spending Thanksgiving with my, now, wife and her father. We got married this week with my, now, father-in-law as witness, and my father-in-law has now separated from my mother after learning what a insane, manipulative piece of trash she was. With this weight lifted from our shoulders, we're the typical honeymoon phase lovebirds you'd expect, except we haven't even had our honeymoon yet. But, it's not all good news. Since my mother called me, she realized I didn't know her work number, so after my father-in-law told her it was over, she called me repeatedly and harassed me about how I was ruining her life and that she would file for divorce on our behalf, and insisted you all were wrong about step-siblings being allowed to marry, until I finally figured out how to block that number. She also borrowed someone else's phone and called me on that, so I blocked that number, too. She hasn't tried any other phones yet, but I expect she will until I change my number again. My father-in-law is also sad over all this. He said leaving her was the smart thing to do and for the best, but he's having a hard time coping. I don't blame him, of course, but I know I'd feel like shit if I was in the same situation. At least he didn't have to see my mom at her worst. So, thank you all for all of your advice. My wife and I are very happy about starting a family next year after we get married in our church. I'm glad I didn't rush into marriage like my mother. She got divorced and married another guy in the same year when I was 10, and we feel we made the right call getting the marriage license out of the way now so she can start the name change process before the wedding. I've been compiling phone numbers to call since my wife